Hey, this is Ihab. In this video, I'm going to talk about set extension. Set extension is the process where we take an image and we expand on it to get more of the visuals. And that is a practice that is heavily used in digital matte painting. So for instance, let's say I want to use this image, but it doesn't really fit the aspect ratio, or maybe if I want to get more out of it, what can I do? So something like taking this image and expanding on it to get something that looks like this. So it was supposed to stop somewhere here, but I wanted to expand that much on it. And of course I added here some buildings, so it would sort of seem like it's kind of natural. And of course, as an added kind of fun, I just had some buildings there. They're not perfectly merging actually, but you get the point. This is the original image, and this is the set extension. So how do we do that? Primarily, the main tool that you want to use for such practice would be the vanishing point in Photoshop. Okay, so here's the scene. The first thing that I need to do is going to Control-Alt-C, and that's going to allow me to expand on the canvas. The canvas is that work area. So what I want to do is to tell the canvas to expand. Let's say, for instance, let's talk percentages. I'm just gonna say maybe I want to make it 130%, right, on width. You don't want to click right away on OK, because if you did, then it's gonna expand it this way. I'm gonna undo, Control-Alt-C, and again I'm gonna go into percent 120, click here so the addition would not affect the left side, and hit OK, and then it's going to do this. So the next step would be going to the vanishing point mode. The shortcut for it is Alt-Control-V. Otherwise you can go here into filter and then vanishing point. You would start by creating a plane, and that plane is going to represent a specific wall or a plane or axis if you must, and then it's going to allow you to expand off of it or to build right on top of it by using the clone tool. So my goal for now for this demonstration is to build a wall starting from here all the way here, but to fill this gap in a way that it would be correctly represented by the same vanishing point or by the same perspective. So how does that process go? I'm gonna go and find an ideal spot where I can start. You can see that this line here on that fence is kind of like horizontal, so I'm gonna start with something like this one, going all the way here. You can see that's kind of connecting all of those edges, which is good. And then I can zoom out to make sure that it's covering the top of the fences properly, and then click, and then you can see here as you're moving the mouse you can just zoom in. Unfortunately the processing here is a bit slow. Want to be a bit more patient than usual. Then click here just to make sure that I have something here vertical. By clicking Control on the corners I can easily adjust. Okay, it looks good. Now if you're interested, or at least in other process, you can just hit Control and then go and expand on this, and that's going to create a different plane for you. But this is ideal for interior places, not for an area like this where there's street and there's a lot of potential for having some misalignment. But what I care for this step here is to make sure that I have the rest of the perspective achieved by going here and pushing this down with the left mouse button. And as you can see, it's actually blending really well. So I'm gonna keep going all the way down. I'm gonna zoom out. And if I'm uncomfortable about one of the points, I can just go and adjust it by clicking and holding Control. And then you can see that sort of Photoshop is going to help you to really detect the right perspective and things like that. So what I want to do now is to go and hit S on the keyboard, which is for the stamp tool. And now my goal is to go with the Alt click on where the target of the cloning is, just like inside Photoshop how the stamp works. And you can see sort of it's showing you exactly where the target of the cloning is. And then you can go here and say, okay, I'm going to start cloning from right here. You can see it's kind of off, right? So I might want to just try again, hit Alt to specify the target, and then wait until I find the ideal alignment. It seems like there is none. So maybe I'll just go here and see if it's easier to find the alignment there. Also, I want to keep in mind that how much repetition there is for that line. So maybe I need to start somewhere here. It's still kind of like a bit difficult to really hit that spot. Maybe I'll try from here. Yeah, that seems a bit better. Not exactly. Let's see. I'm gonna try somewhere here. You can see that sort of like a bit too much distortion going on. But at least it sort of gives us a room to start that kind of cloning. And then you can just go back to Photoshop and rebuild that process or maybe retouch those areas. And once you kind of establish where the brush starts, it would be pretty much the same. It's kind of interesting. It sort of like repaints itself in a way. So the more you do it, the different the results would be. Like if I were to undo and just stick to the materials that I have like that, that could work. But it's sort of, as you do it again, it would just build from itself again to reprogram the same visuals that we have had before. And of course here you deal with some repetition that's happening, but you know, it's no big deal. That's something we can go back to Photoshop. So one thing that I want to caution you about is that you never want to click the escape, because that's going to destroy everything. So hit OK. And now you can see here that sort of I missed one area here. If you want to specifically follow this aspect ratio, that's fine. If not, I can just hit the C on the keyboard, go to the crop, at least for the demonstration of this. I'm just gonna crop it this way. And now you can see it's kind of hard to detect where it was cloned from. The tail here that I can see is where those jagged lines are for that fence. And in that case, you can honestly simply just paint things. Sometimes it would just do magical work for you. And I'm gonna copy that same color here and just say, okay, let's try and fake things here and just go and I'm clicking and holding shift so it would connect one point to another. Yeah, that's how it is. Now of course for the sky, that's a completely different case. You can simply clone. I'm gonna use cloning as well, so I'm gonna hit S on the keyboard and say I want to clone from here to here, just to kind of show you kind of briefly what the process would be. I'm gonna reduce the brush so I wouldn't have that much fuzziness, and usually with the stamp tool you don't want to have any sort of fuzziness anyways. But yeah, you can see it's pretty simple, straightforward. Right mouse button, hardness, so no fuzziness. At least just for this area, and then hit shift and left mouse button, so it's gonna go and copy on all of it. And then here you go back and reduce the hardness, so it would be kind of fuzzy. And then The other tool that you should definitely always practice would be the healing tool, shortcut J. The one that I like, or it's generally like you want to go with the main healing tool here, or the second one basically, and that tool is great if you have like a zits or bumps on your face that you just want to heal, like let's say like something like this here, this piece of cloud here, it's kind of looking weird. You just want to reduce the brush exactly to that size and just paint over it, right? Let's say here it's kind of looks weird, right? You just want to paint over it and it would just correct. So the way this works is that it would collect the information from around, and you can see that there's some sort of discoloration here, right? So in that case I would just kind of go subtle from one side, and it's still I still see that some sort of discoloration there, so it's not really working really well here. And that's where I would go into the second healing tool, which is the patch tool. So I would say I want this to be copying the pattern of and the color of here. See, it's now seamless. So something like this I would just take and experiment with and say wherever there's a line here, then it would show some signs of that merging. It's not perfect at all here, but you get the point. So this is how we expand on an image using the vanishing point. I hope this was helpful.